While we're here. There we go. Okay, well, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee's Sunday hybrid streaming service. So we have congregation here and we have quite a few people with us online this morning. We are, whether you're here in the sanctuary or online or watching the recording on YouTube, it's my joy to welcome you here today. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we know that there are many paths to God, but we know that they all end in oneness and in love. We are grateful that each of you is here with us today. The Center for Spiritual Living is guided by our good to great vision that it was adopted by a process we went through, took us about a year, and it's the whole congregation. And this is our vision that we're using to guide our decision-making process. If you can bring that slide up. I need the graphic, please. I think we're getting something. Justin, can you put it on the screen here in the sanctuary? Because I don't have a copy to read from. Well, while he's getting that set up, we can begin that our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. And in this great graphic that you'll see probably next week, it shows everything that we are passionate about, what we're best at, and our resource engine, which is Divine Source, and all of the wonderful people and other resources that we have, this beautiful sanctuary. And next we have our receptivity statement. And we're going to try this a little differently. I'm going to say part of it and you can repeat it after me. All right. So I am here by divine appointment. Something I'm about to hear applies to my life. I am open and receptive and willing to explore the possibilities. All right, thank you. So our musician today is Todd Holway, and he was our musician for many years before I arrived. So we're really grateful to have him here today, and I've been hearing him warm up, so it's going to be a great morning. And Todd is he's the Incline High School band director. So besides all the regular band, he has they have an excellent jazz ensemble and a mariachi band. So one of the things they are really happy with there. And this summer, Todd joined the Wesley Orsolik, is that how you say it, band. And he plays his Hammond B3 organ, if you know what that is. So that's quite a great instrument for a jazz band. And if you want to hear this jazz funk blues, I think they have a few more gigs this summer in South Lake Tahoe. And so you can look that up on the website. But this morning, please help me welcome Todd Holway.
Okay, no singing for me today because I just got over a cold, so I'm going to play some songs that I've been working on. Playing a lot of wedding gigs and things like that. Everything that got canceled last year is now on this year. So yeah, I'm just going to play one of the songs I've been playing a lot lately. It's a song written by a guy named Black, who's out of New Orleans, and he's a drummer. It's called Little Man Boy.
I can't hear what he's saying.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
I can't hear anything either.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a short version of that. Hi, I'm Todd.
He's not
and
singing. So
I'm going to do a composition called
everybody.
Little Man Boy.
On Zoom, other than
Thanks.
Todd. So you need to create up over here. Yeah, but this is like totally important. All right. Thank you so much. It's a great morning so far. And for those of you online, everyone here is wearing masks. So this is the new world 2.3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it is going on for this pandemic. But our next thing is our practitioner of the day. And our practitioner is our Associate Minister, Reverend Rick Kearney. And he continues to volunteer at the Tahoe Forest Cancer Center. which is very meaningful for him and being able to speak with people that are going through what they're going through there. But some of the other new things that he's been working on, one of them is the Tahoe Trails and Vistas program. It's scheduled for September 12th, and you might ask him about that after the service. But please help me, Reverend Rick Kearney, for announcements and invocation.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. We'll do the sacred reading and save the announcements for a little bit later on. Yep. Today's reading comes from Ernest Holmes' Living the Science of Mind, and it's called The Peace That Is Within You. God is peace. This peace which God is belongs to man and is some part of his spiritual nature. Whatever God is in the universal, man is in the particular. The nature of God is incarnated in every living soul. The peace that is within you is not something separate from God. It is not something that bombards you from without. This peace is something that expands from within. Always this peace has been in you. Always this peace has nestled at the center of your being, ready to reveal its perfection and harmony. Peace stands at the door of your consciousness and awaits your acceptance of it. It does not stand outside waiting for entrance. It stands inside waiting to be expressed in everything you do. If the possibility of your peace were dependent upon some external event, then some outside circumstance, some objective fact, you would not have a principle of peace within you. You would merely be hoping that one might either develop or be imposed externally. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Within you is the kingdom of God, and within the kingdom of God is peace. A conscious knowledge of this peace, coupled with a definite use of the law of mind, gives to each the possibility of freedom from the bondage of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. Our prayer today is, in fact, one that Ernest Holmes himself wrote, and he wrote it down on the last page of this book. I know there is a powerful good which is responding to me and bringing into my experience everything that is necessary to my unfoldment, to my happiness, to my peace, to my health, to my success. I know there is a powerful good that enables me to help others and to bless the whole world. So I say quietly to myself, there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. It is flowing through me, circulating in me. I am one with its rhythm. My heart beats with the pulse of the universe, in serenity, in peace, and in joy. My whole physical being is animated by the divine spirit. And if there is anything in it that does not belong, it is cast out, because there is one perfect life in me now. I bless the world, and I affirm that it shall come under the divine governance of good, under the divine providence of love, under the divine leadership of the supreme intelligence. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. And Todd, I invite you to share some more of your gifts. Thank you.
Okay, I can just use this for things, and that's it. Okay, the next song I'm going to play is called On the Sunny Side of the Street. I just thought I'd just play a nice uplifting tune that I've been playing a lot lately. It's a nice one, so hope you enjoy.
Okay. It's a great song for this morning. You know, with everything with COVID, going back to masks again, it was like, but the sunny side of the street is coming. So this is not forever. So we're being safe. And so as we, this morning, well, actually the whole month of August, our theme is a pause for guidance. And the today's talk is called A Time for a Tune-Up. And so we have this slide, and so you're going to be seeing the face of this woman every week, and when we have the introduction slide for the sermon, but seeing her face, it's kind of like when you get one of those songs in your head that you just can't get out of your head, like Sunny Side of the Street. I might be singing it all week, I'm sure, but this woman's face has just sort of been haunting me in a good way, you know. And when we look at her, she's an older woman, but she's an elder. You can keep the slide up, it's Justin. She's an elder, and so you can see from her face that she's lived through a lot. You know, she's seen a lot of things and survived. She's here, and with her eyes firmly closed and her hands uplifted, we can sense that she's taken time out from her day to pause. She's pausing for that guidance from within, connecting to the divine, to that still small voice of God within her. There's a calmness about her. You know, it conveys that expectancy that she will have answers. It's a complete trust, right? That God's guidance will be clear and forthcoming. Now, God doesn't withhold anything from us. You know, we're an integral part of God, and God wouldn't withhold anything from itself, right? But we are the ones that put up those blocks that keep the gifts from being received. They're always given, and we just don't put our hands out to receive them. And it's like in the reading this morning that Rick had about when we're looking for peace, that peace is within us. That's where we find it. It's not outside of us, it's within us. And so this woman knows that God is her source of all things. And she's paused for spiritual guidance. And she's taking time to tune up her consciousness so that she can see and experience God everywhere, within herself and all around her and in all of her affairs. She's come in for a tune-up, and that's what we're talking about today. Thank you, Justin. And so summer vacations are a time when many of us are looking forward to getting away from all of our day-to-day activities and responsibilities and getting away from the familiar surroundings and exploring something new, right? And have some fun, spend some time with our family, or just hang out together. You know, that thrill of a fast speedboat ride, or, you know, something that's kind of on the extreme sports side, or maybe just you want to just rock leisurely in a hammock while you're reading a book. That's about all you want to do today, and just allow yourself to just be present. But hopefully we'll have some time while we're present to reflect on our lives. And before we go on that vacation destination, and to have all that great time, though, we need to prepare to get there. And we need, it's a good time to do a tune-up. Now, in my family, when I was growing up, we had a tradition. Whatever we decide to do, my dad was very clear that the car was not going to break down on the way to our destination, while we were there, or on the way to, and that would just ruin the entire vacation for him especially, right? So his ritual was we went to Ocean City every summer while we lived in Maryland. And so he would get the car tuned up. He would have the mechanic change the oil. They'd adjust the carburetor, align the wheels, did the whole thing. And then, but personally, he made sure that there was air in the tires, that there was the radiator and the windshield washer was all full of fluid, and that the windows were clean, right? Because he wanted to be able to see what was going on. And lastly, he made sure that we had a map of the route and some tasty snacks and a whole big gallon of Kool-Aid. This was before, you know, that was not a good thing to drink. And so my mom's job was to get the suitcases packed. So we had the swimsuits and the sunscreen, the pool toys and the sun hats, everything that we needed. And she also remembered to surprise all of us that were riding in the back seat with some library books and a new set of crayons and coloring books, each one with our own name on it. So they were no arguments on the way to the end of the ride. But all of this preparation paid off because we never once had the car break down while we were on vacation. Maybe some other times, but never while we were on vacation. So we could spend our days swimming and relaxing and eating out and just having fun and getting that refreshed feeling that you want when you come home from vacation. Now, similarly, it's important to pause our busy lives and take time for a regular spiritual tune-up, not just when we're on vacation, but all throughout the year, even if you just do it for a little bit during the day. All right, so we want to look to Spirit for guidance, just as that woman was doing, through our spiritual practices, such as reading sacred texts, meditating, praying, taking classes is a good thing, or creatively sharing the divine inspiration through music and or art, or whatever inspires us and lifts us to remember that it's not just humdrum. There's this inspiring part of life every day, every moment. And so we also ask ourselves, if we're doing an alignment process, what are my personal values, right? And am I living in alignment with those values? All right, that's the beginning of the process. And so a spiritual attunement allows us to line up our activities and our thoughts and our belief systems to match what those values are. And this is the path that leads us to our desired destination: greater love, authenticity, joy, and peace in our lives, right? So how do we do a spiritual tune-up? Huh? So several things. We have to be teachable, we need to be humble, and we need to embrace our humanness. And I remembered that this morning about my embracing my humanness when I realized that I had forgotten to email these slides to the tech team, and my husband helped me out with that this morning. But in order to grow, in order to learn, you have to be teachable. And in order to be teachable, you have to be humble. If we already know everything, there's no room for anything new. There's no room for anything to grow. And so a thought leader named Israel Moore Ivor has said, our troubles begin the moment our teachers believe that they know it all, and our learners think that they are not teachable, or they know it all, right? Henry Ford said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young, right? And you can see it when someone's eyes, when they're still young, or if they're just old, even though they're only, I think when I was 12, I was the oldest I ever was because I was Miss Perfect, right? So you have to lighten up a little bit. So we have to keep learning, but why does that take humility? Right? Now, some people take the meaning of humility as if a person had an inferiority complex, that they're not as good as anyone else, so I'm very humble. Well, that's not it at all, really. The primary meaning, according to dictionary.com, is not proud or arrogant, modest. That's a very different thing, right? A humble person embraces their humanity, and as stated so well by a woman named Vicky Resky, accepts their own strengths and limitations without defensiveness or judgment. From their gentle self-acceptance and humility, people learn to develop compassion for humanity as well. If you're compassionate with yourself, then you're going to be compassionate for the others. They will find a humble person will find meaning and value in things that benefit others, rather than measuring their own intrinsic value by their net worth, perhaps, or their movie star's body, which is going to change eventually, or the number of friends that they have on Facebook, right? Non-judgment also allows them to handle stress more effectively, right? Now, if you are secure in being human and your own intrinsic value, you can withstand failure or criticism much more easily, right? Because if you're trying something new, it's not going to work out 100% of the time. It takes practice. And so we have to allow ourselves to be still and have that time to fail occasionally. And then we pick ourselves up and try again, you know, rather than getting stuck in self-condemnation as a failure. We can shift to being teachable and look for ways to learn and to build a better mousetrap and to be determined that we're going to learn how to do this. You know, another example of my own humbleness is these sanctuary shades. Now we have these slatted shades and they're around in the back near the AV department. And so when you push up on them, they're very great. You know, they just stay wherever you put them. And so last few Sundays, people have been pushing them up, and they're getting higher and higher, and they're no longer keeping the sun out during the day. So I went over and I looked for the button to push them down, and I turned the rod, and I looked all around, and I was just couldn't not figure it out. You know, I'm a retired engineer, so I thought, you know, that I should be able to do this. Couldn't. So I asked Penny, our board president, and she came in and she said, okay, it's very simple. You pull down, you push up, and you pull down. So my humble pie was very good that day. And but we always have something to learn, right? And so but this is why we have coaches in life. You know, there's things that we can't see that someone else can see. Now we watched the 1500 men's swimming race yesterday. It was won by Bobby Fink. He's a 21-year-old from Clearwater, Florida, gold medal winner. And there were 4 swimmers that were close together for the first 28 of the 30 laps of this race. So it's a long race, takes about 15 minutes. And then finally, and Bobby Fink was like 3rd out of these group of 4. And then in the next to last lap, he starts making his move and he starts moving up. And then at the end, and he's still right behind, I mean, halfway through the lap back, but he's just pouring it on. And he came up with, I think, a world record, but he won the race. And, you know, the other guy had been out ahead all along, but he won the race. When they interviewed him afterward and said, now, how did you do it? How did you know what to do? And he said, well, he just heard the voice of his coach talking to him the whole last 2 laps, because they had a plan that he would pace himself so he wouldn't wear himself out. And when he got to the last 2 laps, he would just go for it. And he had this reserve built up, and he had been working for this for 5 years to have this reserve built up. And it was there more so than the other swimmers, right? And so he didn't resist. He just had his game plan. He had his coach in his head, and, you know, which could be spirit. And then he just executed it. But he had practiced it over and over and over again. So he had that resilience when he needed it, right? Now, how do we know what we need to learn, particularly if we don't have our Olympic swim coach with us every day? And so this is where the spiritual guidance comes in, you know, and our job is to choose, in general terms, what we want to do, what we want to accomplish, what we want to learn. And then we let spirit take care of the details. You know, if we try and take care of the details ourselves, we're outlining, and out of all of the infinite number of possibilities that there are, we're saying, we're going to do this one and only this one, and all these other, we're just going to discount them. But if we just say, this is what I want to do in a general term, this, and then we let God pick how to do it, it's amazing what is unknown that just turns out to be that perfect resolution. In the book, This Thing Called You, Ernest Holmes said, you do the choosing, the law does the outlining. So Holmes gives an example. When you plant a tomato seed, you want to have a tomato, you know, tomato plants. And so you don't decide how many leaves the plant is going to have, or how many stalks it's going to have, or how many tomatoes that are going to be on there, whether they're going to be little ones or big ones, although you might pick the right seed for that. But the actual direction of how to make all this happen comes from the law, right? It's already in that seed when it's planted, right? And so the law just acts on our thoughts and our beliefs, which are the blueprints for what the law is going to manifest. So how do we decide what we're going to do? How do we decide whether we're going to plant tomatoes or onions or something bigger in our lives? If we're going to take this job or that job, if we're going to marry this person or marry this person, or divorce this person or stay married. I mean, what are we going to do, right? So this is why we take time out for that spiritual tune-up, right? And we've come to learn we lose what we don't want to share, what we don't want to experience in our lives anymore. And we share what we do want in our lives, and that attracts us that more of that into our life. You know, if you want to have a friend, be a friend, right? And so we choose to lose things like unhappiness or loneliness, judgment, that's a big one, or victim mentality. That's good for a lot of drama and conversations, but it's not a very pleasant place to be when we dwell in being a victim. So Ernest Holmes says, again, in this thing called you should let go of the lesser in order to experience the greater. This is not a bad bargain. If you lose a sense of unhappiness, you will become happy. If you lose a sense of confusion, you will be at peace. This is not the easiest thing to do. When you're in pain, it is difficult to affirm peace. But when you are in want, it is hard to affirm abundance. But this is the true meaning of losing your life. What you lose is a false sense of being. You are trading the unreal for the real, the false for the true. If you wish to live in the kingdom of heaven, forget hell. Right? I mean, some people are so worried about not ending up in hell that they forget to live their life in all of its fullness, right? And what we focus on grows. Ernest Holmes also said, you are to find the roots of your life in pure spirit. Lose your sense of being separated from your good, and you will find that you are united with it. Just as Rick was talking about in the reading this morning. If we're looking for peace out there, we think we're separated from it. But in fact, the peace is within us. It's out there too, but it's the peace that we're looking for is the peace within us. And it's already there. And we just have to open our eyes and our willingness to see it with a spiritual tune-up, right? So when we stop identifying with what we don't want, we can realize that because we're part of God, what we're seeking to become is already a part of us. And we just have to develop those muscles. You know, all those Olympic athletes that are doing such great things over in Tokyo from all over the world, they might have been born with good potential, but they still had to practice and practice and practice. And the gymnasts fall off the beam occasionally, and they lose a race occasionally, or they get a cold and this isn't a good day. It's not a static thing. It's about continually reconnecting and practicing and remembering that the source is God. Now, one of the things that some people do when they want to get rid of something that they don't want in their life is that they will make a whole big ritual about it. You know, so you can do things like I remember when I was in college and I had a really good girlfriend that her family was there was a lot of craziness and bipolar things in one of her parents and one of her sisters were having, and brother too, had issues. And so she knew a lot about mental health. And one of the things that she would do is that whenever something was really bugging her, that she just needed to get off her mind, she would just write it out on a sheet of paper. And then she would wad it up and she would throw it as hard as she could across the room into the trash can, just to get it out of her system, right? And then she could embrace her own health and strength in the love and good friendships that she had in her life, because that was her truth. And, you know, her family had their issues, but it didn't have to take her down with it, right? She could love them and love herself at the same time. The other part of it is we're fasting from what we don't want. You know, there's a ritual of fasting of, you know, like during Lent, people will deny themselves something that they, to make them remember God. And, you know, they'll fast from chocolate or maybe fast from spinach, something they don't like, but you're supposed to fast from something that you like. But in this case, we're fasting from something that we don't want. And so like if we want to lose weight, we fast from too many desserts and we learn to embrace the benefits of regular exercise. If we stop complaining about being lonely and we practice being a good friend, or, timidly, knocking on the door to say hello to someone that we would like to meet, or sending them a text. We share what we want. If we want more peace, we find ways to share peace in the world. If we want more love, we find ways to be more loving to more people. It starts that law of circulation going around. If you want more friends, be a friend to someone else first. Ernest Holmes said, whatever you identify yourself with, you become more like. Whatever you resist until you make it a reality, you will also become like. Therefore, resist not evil, and it will flee from you. Don't fight your fears, see through them. So when Jesus talked about turning the other cheek, and it wasn't about being, just being, what do you call it, humble to the point of just lying on the ground and becoming a victim. No, it's about seeing through whatever this person is going through, seeing through their pain to that person within that's divine, and connecting with them at that level, right? You're not going to stay and be abused, but we learn to come from a place of love and a place of compassion, right? We've all had those days when we've been the one that's screaming at the top of our lungs and it's someone we love, and we don't want to do that again, right? What was going on? When I do that, it's something going on in me. Hopefully, it doesn't happen too very often, but it starts all with us. There's a great story by a man named Azim Khamiza. And his college-age son was delivering pizza, and he was killed with a gun by a 14-year-old boy as part of a gang initiation. And when he heard the news, he knew immediately that there were two victims in that situation, his son and the 14-year-old boy. There were two victims. And so he was a Sufi, and he instantly had this feeling of forgiveness that came over him. And the grandfather of the 14-year-old boy who did go to prison, that he and the grandfather became great friends. His grandfather was a Christian, he was a Sufi Muslim, and so they created this organization called the Tariq Khamiza Foundation to stop the cycle of youth violence. And so and one of the schools that they visited was in San Diego, a middle school. And they were teaching these kids what they could do instead of responding with violence. It's not a tit for tat goes back and forth. And so they were teaching them some conflict resolution skills and learning to have compassion and to listen and to look at the world from the other person's shoes. So there was one boy who was just really crazy. And, he was kind of a tough kid. And so the next week they came back to the class, and when they asked everybody what happened, he raised his hand. And he told this story. He was standing out on a corner, and his gang was on this side of the street, and catty corner across the street was a different gang. And there was a boy on the other side of the street that looked at him wrong. Now, under the rules of engagement that he was supposed to live by, that meant he was supposed to whip out his gun and just shoot that kid for looking at him wrong, because there was something wrong with him. But he remembered what Azim had said in the class, and so he didn't. And somehow he found a way to go over and talk to the boy. And it turns out that the boy's uncle had been killed in a drive-by shooting the day before. That's why he was sad. That's why he was looking the way he did. And so that boy was changed forever. That cycle of violence was stopped. He stopped focusing on what was the problem, and he started focusing on compassion. He learned new skills, and his whole life changed, right? Instead of reacting from a place of low self-esteem and revenge, he responded with compassion. And this is what we want to do in whatever our situation is. And so as we go through life, just like cars need a periodic tune-up, we also need a regular spiritual tune-up. And that will keep the balance in our life. It will help us keep our lives in alignment with our values rather than what we don't want. There's a writer named Rumer Godin who has wrote a book called A House with Four Rooms. And he said there's an Indian proverb or axiom that says that everyone is a house with four rooms: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Most of us tend to live in one room most of the time, but unless we go into every room every day, even if only to keep it aired out, we are not a complete person. So we need the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. They're all part of us that we want to keep in balance. And that's part of the tune-up to, yoga is body, mind, and spirit, putting all of the parts of us into alignment. So take the time this week to reflect and evaluate your life. What are your values? Are you living in alignment with those values? Maybe you want to get a support from a practitioner. Now, you might be amazed at some of the inner wisdom that comes out and revealed during that conversation, stuff that's within you that you just didn't take time to sit down and listen. And the power of having someone else do a spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer is even more amazing, because we've all seen it work here. Another thing you can do is sign up for classes. We have a spiritual economics class that's starting in September, and it covers the abundant flow of everything in your life, including healthy and loving relationships, not just money, and establishing a meaningful career, nurturing your health, and your part in making the whole world a better place. Be willing to be humble and teachable. Be willing to lose those things that don't look good on you, like judgment, or a belief that you deserve anything less than the full bounty of God's love and peace and happiness. Set up a new mental equivalent, the blueprint of what you want in your life, and begin being that which you wish to experience more of in the world. You already have it within you. Big changes often come from small changes that are repeated every day. One of my spiritual practices is that I take time every morning to read the Science of Mind magazine. Maybe an article or two, but always the daily guide. And, it takes, 5 minutes or 10 or 30 minutes, and then I can meditate and contemplate those words of wisdom and affirmation, what meaning they have for me today. And sometimes it's amazing how synchronous it is with whatever's going on in my life. But most importantly, we remember that God is all there is, and God is everywhere present in my life and throughout the whole universe. We're all part of the one. And then I get started with my day with a clear vision and just centered in spirit. Now, sometimes I forget to do this, it happens, and I get up and I rush off into my day and everything just seems to be going wrong, It's so frustrating. And then I remember, oh, I forgot to start my day with meditation. And so I'll stop. If I can, I'll take the full time. And, it's if you're working in a busy office like I was, you can go over to the ladies' room and just, have 5 minutes of peace and take that time to get centered again. And sometimes all I can do is take a breath. So just close my eyes and take a deep breath and just release as I breathe out all the things that I don't want. And just all that's left when you breathe out like that is all that's left is God. And then when we breathe in that spiritual truth, that awareness, all the false illusions are gone and the sense of peace and calm are fully present. We breathe in that goodness of the universe that is the intention of spirit for us, with a feeling of gratitude that's amazing. Right. All is well. And I begin my day again, spiritually tuned up, renewed, and in alignment with spirit. Let's take this to prayer. As I am still, and I pause for guidance. I remember that there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. God is all there is. And so I see the qualities of God everywhere, in all that is, and in me. Wholeness is God. I am wholeness. God is oneness. I am part of the oneness. God is peace. I am peace. God is wisdom. I am wisdom. God is infinite love. And I let go and let that love fill me with wholeness and love and a sense of peace, being surrounded by love and filled by love and have it filled, overflowing in my life. And it is good. I am an idea in the mind of God, created to be me, that unique part of God that is a part of the whole, that is important and is good. God is expressing himself in me, through in me, and as all of creation. And so I am willing to let go and let God. I am willing to align myself, my thoughts and my beliefs and my actions with those qualities of God that I want to experience in my life. Just like a chiropractor that aligns my backbone to be straight, vertebrae by vertebrae, I allow the Master Creator to align my sense of being, my understanding of who I am. I release any blockages, fear, judgment, belief, and limitation or opposition. And I realize that I am enough just as I am, because I am a creation of the divine. I stand up tall and strong. Together, God and I are enough in all things. And so, perfect health fills my life, loving relationships, work that makes the world a better place and lifts me up in my family in the process. It is part of that divine plan. There is divine right action and harmony in all of my affairs. Whatever seems to be out of alignment and blocked, when I let go, it somehow seemingly magically straightens out. Peace and joy fill my life. And I speak my word for our center, for the perfect youth and family program with the leaders and children and all of the things that make it a great experience for spiritual transformation and fun and community, all of the things that it can and is becoming. I speak my word for our center's reopening plan as we progress safely with positive energy and excitement, with health and safety for our people that come to visit. We have the option of visiting on Zoom, and it all throughout the world, that healing intention is now finding its way. Every piece of a resistance is slowly, slowly being smoothed out until there was only the wholeness. We have healthy and mutually supported relationships. Our center, its board and team leaders grow in numbers and expertise and joyful commitment to support the continued growth of our center as we serve the one. We embrace all and serve with love while awakening to the one. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Gratitude fills my being full to overflowing. Life is so good. Thank you for this day, for this moment that we are here together in the presence of Spirit. And I release these words for something or even greater that Spirit has in mind. And together we say, and so it is. And I think, Todd, one more.
last song I'm going to play is by Stevie Wonder. The all-time greats, and playing music by Stevie is like a spiritual practice. Definitely, he's amazing. So this is a song called "Overjoyed," and I used to play it in high school. I read the music a lot, and now I've learned to do it, just improvise with it. So "Overjoyed" by Stevie Wonder.
I don't think we have sound on Zoom.
Indoors in a public place. And we have made a decision here at the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee to follow that guidance, to protect ourselves, but perhaps more importantly, to protect each other, our children, our elders, and all of those who have not yet had the vaccine for COVID-19. So with this, our center is still open, but we're asking everyone to wear a mask indoors. The office is open Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 2:30. Please remember to wear your mask. And when you visit, or you can call or email the office to register for classes, ask a question, or request a prayer. Let's get into our slides, please. We have lots of things going on at the center, and you can always find out where to find out more information on our website or on our Facebook page or on Instagram. We are recording our services each and every Sunday, and so you can go back and listen to it again, or find that special someone and share the link with, so they can go back and appreciate what has been provided. Next slide, please. All right. We lost it. It was up, but now it's gone. Okay. There is a virtual retreat coming up in the month of August called SOAR. And this is for all of the CSLs worldwide taking part. It begins on August 13th and then continues the next day, the 14th. And you can join in CSL Friends for a great time. This year's theme is Rise, Emerge, and Renew, with speakers by Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen, Reverend Cynthia James, and Reverend Karen Wilson. There's a high energy music team lined up already for this with Amy Bishop and Gary Lynn Floyd. And I encourage you to check it out, not just for the music, but also for the workshops, some spiritual movement, as well as camaraderie with other members from around the world. You can register at csl.org. Okay, moving on. There's a second retreat taking place in September in Big Sky, Montana. And this is a regional New Thought conference. Dr. David Alt is the featured speaker, and the Wednesday night concert is by Michael Gott. Now, I believe about 5 or 6 of our members and friends are going to this retreat. So if you've signed up, you'll know somebody there. And it's very much a transformative experience. If you'd like more information or register for this event, go to bigskyretreat.com. Thank you. We have a lot happening, as I mentioned, not just our Sunday services, but there's also a Tai Chi happening every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. led by Chris Worcester, a great event. I've been part of that myself. Meditation led by Mary McEnany, as well as Penny Scholler, who's here in the room with us. That's on Thursdays at 5 p.m., though there are some warm-up exercises happening at 4:30 each Thursday. We do have 2 events that are put off for the month of August and September, and that are the 2 courses being led by Sue Pipel. And Sue is in the progress of making a change of homes, and so she is asking to be off until October. So they will not be taking place this week or in the next month or 2. Okay, moving on. We do have a bookstore that is here with lots of books available. We also have a host of books provided by Jerry before she passed, and her family asked that we share those with members of the community. Check it out before you leave the room here today. One thing that did not get a slide is a stargazing event that's coming up at the end of the month, led by Justin Biddler, who's on the back of the room manning the keyboard right now. And we're looking forward to that. Justin, can you remind me of the date of that event?
August 17th.
August 27th of August, yes, at 7:30 p.m. There'll be more details following, so keep your eye on the newsletter or the announcements for that. Nancy, thank you very much for your support of that activity as well. Well, with that, I want to ask Penny Scholler to come forward for a few words. Penny?
Thank you. I need Reverend Pam. So we celebrated your birthday with a luncheon, but we didn't have the gift yet to give you. So this is from the board and all the practitioners.
Oh, thank you.
So open it.
It's from Bluestone. This is a good play.
Goodness.
Shall I open it?
Yeah, open it. You did a good wrap job.
They
didn't
did.
you?
And And I'm not a ripper, so.
You're not a ripper.
Christmas is slow at my house.
Yeah, I can tell. Jeez.
I am really a Tahoe resident now. Bluestone.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah. Now, well, I have mine on too.
yeah. Oh, this
Nancy has hers.
oh, this is really.
You have to
beautiful.
when you live at Lake Tahoe. so.
You do.
And there's a card in here. There's a card you can read later.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
So is that all the announcements?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's see. Where are we? Oh, I'm distracted.
Oh, look at mine.
All right. Okay, well, we have the, I can't leave out the practitioners because they are so wonderful. And so if you have a prayer, if you need a prayer, please ask them. You can see them for a short prayer after the service. And so Reverend Kearney is here. He was the practitioner of the day. And we have Nancy O'Neill that's here. Michael Brandman is a practitioner, and Shirley Clark in the back of the room. So you can see me as well. So this is part of why Centers for Spiritual Living are a great place to be. So please avail yourself of that. I would like to also, you can put a prayer request in the box if you would like to put a prayer request, or you can go onto our website. And there's all these new things that are happening. So it's great. Okay, we're going to form a circle to sing our closing song. And then we'll have our affirmation. And Todd is going to. Oh, the children need to come in. Yes, maybe we should invite the children before we start singing. I hope not. One of them, the moms, is still here.
They didn't leave, but they're probably hiking there.
Oh, okay.
We'll get that organized.
Okay, we'll get that organized. Well, we ran over, so. All right. Yeah. We'll let them join in when they come. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With glorious greeting from the hourly, let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be